Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely beautiful Hukamnama, or divine command, straight from page 645 of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And, you might be thinking, how exactly does a spiritual text from centuries ago fit into our hyper-connected, super busy modern lives? Well, the truth is, human nature hasn't really changed all that much. And as you'll see, the wisdom here is literally the perfect antidote for the daily grind we all go through.
I mean, think about this for a second. Why is it that we feel so restless, even when we're supposedly resting? If you're navigating your career right now, you definitely know this feeling intimately. We're all carrying this low-grade hum of anxiety, totally burnt out, battling major decision fatigue. We clock out of work, but our brains, they're still racing. We go on vacation, but mentally we're still stuck in our inbox, physically exhausted, but somehow spiritually completely wired. It's kind of the modern epidemic of overwhelm, right?
Which brings us to the first major insight from the text. It says, the disease of doubt does not depart, and they find only pain and more pain. Honestly, that is such an incredibly accurate diagnosis of our modern anxiety. Think about imposter syndrome, or endlessly second-guessing your career path, always wondering, am I doing enough? Am I being enough? The text brilliantly captures this as a disease of doubt. It's this internal friction that just, breeds more pain.
Section 1. The disease of doubt.
So, the text actually warns us about what happens when we turn our faces away from the true guru. To really get this, let's clarify what that means. The true guru is our source of inner spiritual wisdom, that deep divine connection. It's our absolute grounded truth. When we steer away from that, like when we obsess over external validation, or sacrifice everything to climb the corporate ladder, or just chase empty status symbols, we're turning our faces away. And the text doesn't sugarcoat what happens next. Let's break down the actual symptoms of turning away listed in this Salok. First up, we suffer in sorrow and bondage. In our world today, that bondage might look like the golden handcuffs of a job you totally resent, or feeling trapped in a lifestyle you can barely afford just to keep up appearances. Second, it says we are born only to die. Now, that speaks to those endless, completely exhausting cycles we get stuck in, waking up, hustling, sleeping, repeating, without any higher purpose. And then there's that lingering disease of doubt we just talked about. Altogether, it is a guaranteed recipe for profound exhausting.
Moving on to Section 2. The restless wanderer.
The text uses this really striking metaphor. They wander around from door to door, like a woman forsaken with a bad character and a bad reputation. Obviously, this is phrasing from the 16th century, but let's translate what wandering from door to door means for us today. It's the ultimate symbol of having no real anchor. It's the exhausting trap of trying to get everyone else to validate you. Career hopping without a real calling, obsessing over peer approval, or constantly shape-shifting your personality depending on who's in the room. It's living life totally on the defensive instead of being firmly rooted in who you are. So the real kicker here is the contrast being made. On one side, you have the results of turning away. You're wandering, you've got no shelter, and you're just sorrowful. Basically, a ship without a harbor. But then, look at the other side. The text introduces the Gurmukh. The Gurmukh is forgiven, deeply united with the true guru, and finally finds that elusive harbor of rest. Let's clarify exactly what a Gurmukh is. A Gurmukh is someone guided by the guru and that inner spiritual wisdom, rather than desperate for external validation. Instead of facing outward and letting a chaotic world dictate their worth, they face inward, towards the divine. They're the ones who actually manage to find that deep, profound rest and shelter we're all craving by Friday afternoon.
Section 3. Crossing the world ocean.
Here we find this amazing line. Those who serve the true Lord, the destroyer of ego, cross over the terrifying world ocean. I absolutely love that phrasing, terrifying world ocean. Because honestly, isn't that exactly what Monday morning feels like? The crushing wave of responsibilities, emails piling up, the general dread of navigating modern adult life. It genuinely feels like this massive, terrifying ocean trying to pull us under. And this highlights our biggest obstacle perfectly, our own ego. Ego literally equals exhaustion. Today, our ego is so wrapped up in our job titles, our salary, how smart we sound in a meeting. And maintaining that mask, it drains so much energy. The text calls the true Lord the destroyer of ego. So serving the true Lord actually means letting go of that heavy, exhausting facade. It's realizing you aren't the center of the universe. And ironically, letting go of that self-importance is exactly what makes you light enough to float and safely cross that ocean.
So, how do we actually do this? The Pauree gives us clear, actionable steps for the journey. Step 1, serve the true Lord, which, as we just saw, means crushing that ego. Step 2, meditate and chant the name. This is all about keeping an active, continuous connection to the divine, reminding yourself every single day of what actually matters. And step 3, receive grace. Because as we'll see in a second, this isn't some transaction where you clock in spiritual hours. It is a profound gift.
Section 4. Dispelling our modern fears.
The text promises some absolutely incredible gifts from this connection. It says those who chant the name are passed over by the messenger of death. They arrive in his court in robes of honor, and, crucially, all their doubts and fears are totally dispelled. Let's think about that phrase, robes of honor. Out in the corporate world, we hustle for promotions and fancy titles, hoping they'll bring us respect. But this is talking about true, unshakable inner dignity, a robe of honor given by the divine that no market crash or terrible performance review can ever take away.
What really stands out to me here is the repeated focus on forgiveness and grace. They alone serve you, O Lord, whom you bless with grace. This is such a vital reminder for us right now. Peace is not something you can hustle for. You receive it through grace. We live in a culture of toxic productivity that screams at us to wake up at 4 a.m. and just grind harder to find peace. This text is the ultimate antidote to that. You cannot outwork the world ocean. You survive it by letting go and accepting divine grace. This Hukamnama wraps up with this incredibly beautiful, comforting affirmation. I sing continually your glorious praises, O beloved. As Gurmukh, my doubts and fears have been dispelled. That right there, that is the sound of an anchored mind. A mind that has finally stopped wandering door to door, that has dropped the massive weight of ego, and has found its true home. So, as we close out this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on this week. When the waves of your daily life start getting rough, what are you anchoring yourself to in your own world ocean? Are you tying yourself to the exhausting, heavy anchors of ego and what other people think? Or are you turning your face inward, toward the true guru, to find that lasting harbor of grace and peace? Take a little time to reflect on that today. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.